Hello ladies and gents, Romie Reviews here. Please like, comment, subscribe. This is my review for American Horror Story Apocalypse. Season 8 of American Horror Story. Can you believe it? Episode 1. Let's just jump right into it. So this episode is a culmination of a couple of seasons. I know Murder House, Coven, I'm not sure what the other one is. And if you've ever watched American Horror Story, just know that even though this season may be centered around mainly 3 different story arcs or different seasons, they're also going to have little hints and little things placed in regarding the other ones as well. They do it every season. This one starts off essentially with, it's a regular day for everyone, but there's some people who their lives are a little bit different, like Miss Coco. Miss Coco is, so if you watched the previous season, that was the one where she was actually in there, and her gay husband / best friend, whatever, concocted this plan, or was a part of this plan, a part of this cult. But I'm going backwards. That was stressful. Anyway, so she's in there. She's a social media influencer, and she's there with her assistant Mallory, who's played by Billy. And the thing is that Coco's annoying. And I already knew Coco was going to be annoying. I could see, Coco just gives off annoying. That's who she is. That's what she gives off. And that's exactly what we got. Now, Mr. Gallant, who is played by Evan Peters, he's actually her hairstylist. While all this is happening, she gets a call from her father. It's a combination of 2 things. One thing, you see news report of this broadcaster essentially saying goodbye to his kids because, look, already places like Hong Kong, all these other places were hit up. It's a nuclear apocalypse and nowhere is safe. And even though there's an evacuation of LA, not even LA was safe. Her father was trying to tell her about that, but she's so worried about taking pictures, with the latest trendy drink and appeasing her fans and her followers, even though her daddy's loaded. Her daddy told her to shut up, because here's what you need to do. You need to go and get to the bunker now. Get on the plane. The plane will take you to the bunker. Now, Billy, who's played by Mallory, actually has a boyfriend, and she essentially had to say goodbye to that boyfriend because her boss needed her. She wanted to go be with her mom, be with her family, but there wasn't enough time. It didn't make sense anyway. They were all gonna die. You know who else now knows that there's an apocalypse upon us, but there's a way out? Gallant. He goes and gets his grandmother, who's Joan Collins. The legend, Joan Collins, is his grandmother, and she's complaining about burnt champagne. I'm thinking, you should be complaining about a burnt body. Your burnt body, your burnt corpse, burnt champagne. So Gallant has to go and get this woman, gets her out of there, and he shows up at the same bunker with his boss, which is Coco. And Coco's looking at this like, excuse me, there's 4 tickets. What are you doing here? And then he does a mind trick on her and says, oh, dang, your hair's already deflated. Already deflated? Yes, already deflated. Okay, get in here, because she's so vain and so self-imposed. Even though the world's about to end, she's still thinking about the dumb things. And him and his grandma are going to be safe. They're on the plane. She called up, like I said, her gay husband, and I'm only saying that because I watched last season. That's what his role was. Because they had this friendship clause where they can annul it if any of them, either one of them, wanted to get out of it for whatever reason. So she enacted that, which released her from this imaginary burden, and she gets on that plane. Her security is shooting the people who are the regular airport attendants because it's a plane, it's a way out. Now the plane's, her security was killed, but now there's 4 people on the plane: her assistant, her hairstylist, and her hairstylist's grandma. And they're there, they're on the flight, but who's flying the plane? Assistant goes over, realizes, oh crap, there's no oh crap. There's no oh crap. There's no one flying the plane. There's no one flying the plane. It's on autopilot, and that autopilot gets disengaged when LA gets hit. I'm thinking, dang. The messed up part was Coco's husband was trying to get to her, and he was driving. She was trying to wait for him. She really was trying to wait for him, but there wasn't enough time. And so she made sure she took care of herself. I'm thinking, is that the last we see of him? Is it? Because we know there's multiple outposts. And how this worked was her father paid for 4 tickets, and that was essentially for his family. But all of them got killed. That's why she took her and her people there to the outpost. While that's happening, we see another family being affected. And this family, his name is Timmy. So Timmy is seeing if he's going to be attending UCLA. Well, his brother checks, his mother checks. Yes, he's attending UCLA, so they're doing the UCLA chant. And then the father comes home like, are y'all stupid or are y'all dumb? The world is ending outside and you didn't even realize what's happening. So then the TV comes on. Essentially, the same news reporter says the same thing. And that's when they start freaking out and crying. But, knock, bust, well, the door doesn't get busted open. The father opens the door, and this is where we see, dang, I forgot his name. The black agent, if you've ever watched The Quad, he played the football coach on The Quad. He's had a long acting career, but just thinking about something really recent. Anyway, so he's there telling the family, look, we need to take Timmy. Timmy has to come with us. Why does Timmy need to go with you? Well, Timmy, he signed up for Ancestry DNA, and his results were, and I'm thinking, dang, I did that through Ancestry too. But anyway, signed up through Ancestry DNA. We ran his results, and he's one of the people that we need. He's someone on the survival list, essentially. As we know, we've already heard this before, where if there was an apocalypse, they have a database of people who they want to keep for eventually, either curing people or recreating the universe. Oh, I should say the planet's population. We're starting over. So he's one of those people, and so he gets taken. His family's like, okay, but take his little brother too. Sorry, his DNA doesn't match. They're not twins when it comes to that, so he's gonna have to stay. And so then the father's like, yes, take my son. Take him now. Do it. We're all about to die. And I was like, dang, that's a parent right there. Even having to sacrifice one son to, make sure that the other one has a chance. That's a parent. So now Timmy's taken, and next thing he knows, he wakes up in this weird containment area, and he has a friend, Emily. Emily's there, and Emily was actually taken out of prison. When they drew her blood, she was in the system, and she was taken out of prison and put in there. And then the next thing we know, boom! And that's when their area gets hit as well, because there were bombs, nukes going all over the planet, just taking everything out. The nuclear apocalypse, World War III. Unfortunately, now we do a time lapse. I think they were like 2 weeks later or 2 months later, something like that. No, I think it was only 2 weeks. It was something short. And within that time, now they're being transported. Now they're being transported to I'm gonna call it a safety bunker, and they're told that, hey, everywhere is knocked out. There's only a couple of places in the world where there's still people. And so then Emily was asking, well, how did that happen? Well, people made contributions. Oh, okay, so you're saying the people who aren't like us were rich. And I said, yep, you named it. Well, someone had to pay for this. And I said, okay, that is true. That is true. While that's happening, we then see they get there and they have to get decontaminated. Now, they weren't screaming or anything because it looked like they were wearing suits, so the suits were decontaminated, and I was a little confused by that because I was looking at it as, I remember them taking the suits off, and they were taken and they were kept in the suits the entire time, so technically they were never contaminated, technically. So now they get introduced to, what's her name, Miss Venable. She's played by Sarah Paulson, which, if you've watched the series, Sarah Paulson plays so many characters each season. I mean, she's always in the show in some capacity playing some character, and she's going to be playing, I think, at least 3 different characters this season because Coven's going to be a part of this. Now, Sarah's character this time around, she's essentially, we'll call her the queen bee of this situation. There's something called the collective. So she's explaining to them, you were selected because, you know, if the human population was decimated, there's few key people with DNA markers that were keen to, you know, the human survival, a continuation of the species. And Emily and Timmy were a part of that, are a part of that. Now, Sarah says there's a couple of rules. You are purples. You are cream of the crop. So the rich people and also the people with the keen DNA are purples. Everyone else are grays. And grays are people who were there because they were going to be servants, and they're just going to have to put up with whatever, because if they don't, they're going to be thrown outside. There's actually creatures that have morphed, whether they were originally human or animals, we don't know. We just know that they're infected creatures, and they are out for blood. They're killing anything and everything. While that's happening, and she's explained that to them, there's a couple of rules. I think it was like, one of the rules is you can't go and gain a relationship and procreate on your own whim. Essentially, that was one. Another one had to do with the fact that the purples and...
Remember to like this video, leave a comment, and subscribe and come back.
And the grays need to know their place, and you can commingle, but you, again, it's very strict as far as you are purple, you are gray. You have to act according to your class, because this is a class system. Now, while that's happening, another rule is you can't go outside, like, ever, because it's still contaminated out there, and if you go out, they're essentially gonna have to keep you out. Now, you have all that, okay, we're gonna have dinner. So they get dressed, and there is technology, but there's not much. It's very, like 1940s, 1950s-esque. They have radio, or they have, you know, audio speaker, a much older one, and everything else is almost like candlelit. And the set's cool. The set looks pretty cool. Their attire is definitely Queen Victorian-esque. So they get dressed up, and you can immediately tell that Emily and Timmy are gonna have some type of relationship. I thought it was obvious. They all come together, and we see Gallant, we see Joan, we see Coco complaining. I'm trying to figure out, how is it that Coco, even though she had her assistant come along, as technically her assistant should be a purple. I understand she's not rich, but her assistant should be a purple, and yet she's a gray, because it should be based on the ticket, not on the actual class and society of regular life, because there's new rules, right? That was one thing that threw me off. But anyway, her assistant's still her assistant, doing stuff for her. Gallant is there, and there's also a couple of other people, a man named Stu, and I was trying to think, Stu, was he from Hotel? Because I'm trying to look to see, does this person look familiar? And then there was another guy there, but then they all get to officially meet her name is just throwing me off. Sarah Paulson's character, Miss Venable. Anyway, we see that she has some rules because Coco has mouth and Coco has lip. Coco wants to go outside. Coco doesn't understand why she can't do this, can't do that. Coco gets slapped. Coco gets slapped. Now, Timmy and Emily understand that this place is no joke because when they were coming in, they saw 2 people get shot and killed. Those 2 people were Greys, and they broke the rule of not commingling. They were trying to pursue a relationship, and that's what happened as a result. They got clapped, they got shot in the head, killed. Now it's dinner time. Well, actually, we get introduced to another person. I guess you can say Miss Venable's right-hand woman, Miriam Mead, played by Kathy Bates. Oh, love me some Kathy Bates. And so then so we get the main characters essentially shown. Now it's dinner time, and their dinner is a cube. Oh my gosh, I am forgetting someone. The black woman who was in the show for like a couple of seasons. She was like the star in Roanoke. I don't remember her name, but I do know that she had a talk show, and so because she turned everything all around. So she had a talk show, and she was like the emotional support of the group. She was the one that let's look at everything on the brighter side. Let's just go and eat. We need substance. So they're eating, and the food is it's square. It's very square, and it's filled with nutrients. That's what it is. It's filled with nutrients and not much taste. Coco complains. I think maybe that's when Coco got slapped. Not sure. But they have to do what they have to do. And there was a report from the outside world saying that most of the other outclosed part of the different groups in the collective, they were taken out. They were overrun. And maybe theirs is like the final area, or it'll soon to be the final area. At first, I thought that it was a lie in order to keep these people in check, but it looks like it was actually the truth. I was a little surprised about that. What happens next is crazy. Another part is we need to check because our meter indicates that someone went outside. Someone is infected with radiation. Now, Timmy and Emily were like, hey, we went through the thing. We had things on the whole time. We didn't go anywhere. It can't be us. So then, with a wand, went around the table and was checking everyone. Beep, 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 beep. Mr. Gallant. I said, oh, Jesus. Evan Peters. I'm like, oh, Jesus. So then it goes from that to beep, 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 beep. Stu. I said, oh, Stu. Oh, Stu. So then they get taken, and then they have to go through a chemical bath. Oh, well, I tell you, they were red. When they were done, they were red. I said, dang, really? You could hear them yelling and screaming, and then Kathy Bates' character, Miss Mead, checked again, and Gallant was fine, but Stu wasn't. Stu somehow was still infected. I'm thinking, what? Really? This isn't making sense. So then she shoots him in the head. He's dead. And now, Gallant can go back. And I don't know if he was told not to say anything, or but they knew that Stu died, but it was because of the contamination. So now that Stu is dead, we have to take this very seriously. You can't break the rules. But then it was that whole thing of when could he have possibly gone out? And I'm thinking, Lord, did Gallant try to do stuff with Stu, and that's how they got contaminated? The fact that it was the two of them made me feel like, unless it was just random selection in order to scare people, because we see, okay, it's dinner time. But instead of the cube, now they get to have real food. They get to have stew. I just looked at this like, where'd this come from? Timmy was me, Because I looked at that like, Emily, you better not eat that. Do not eat that. Do not eat that. Everyone else is going and eating it. And then they start picking out weird parts. You know, parts that wouldn't just be cooked down, like teeth or certain bones from the finger. I said, oh, Lord Jesus, they're eating stew. They're cannibals and they're eating stew. So Stu's boyfriend was bugging out like, oh, stew is the stew. Oh my God, stew is the stew. Stew is the stew. Oh, and then he was yelling, screaming. Miss Vanderbilt's looking at them like, look, don't worry. I wouldn't feed you food. I wouldn't feed you a person. Just eat up. But the thing is, I don't know if she was telling the truth or lying. That's the weird part. I have no idea if she was telling the truth or if she was lying. So we go from that to Callan's grandmother said, oh, I don't care. Joan Collins didn't care. He said, look, it's quite delicious. And she slurped it. Oh God. Coco continued to eat as well. I'm thinking, these rich mother. Anywho, once that was over, we see that, what's her name? Vanable? I don't like that name. Vanable and Mead. It was weird. I thought they were going to do something sexual, but no. They were kind of just looking at themselves in the mirror, and it's, from what we learn, is they're messing with the people. Mead isn't too thrilled with it because she's like, the collective were good to her, paid for her bills. She was part of the military, so she doesn't have a problem killing people or scaring people. She just has a problem with messing with the higher ups. And Venable said, look, this is our outpost. We can do whatever we want, so we're going to do whatever we want. We need to have fun. We need to have fun with these people, mess with them, and that way we can fully control them. I said, yeah, that's how you do it if you're going to do something like that. But it was weird. Me, the entire time, kind of gave me the impression that I said, wait, is she a vampire? Because I remember she was a vampire in Hotel. So that's why I was just looking at them like, wait, who exactly are they playing? Because that's like, who are they? Who are they really? Anywho. Then there was an 18-month lapse in time. I'm thinking 18 months. 18 months. And everyone still looks the same except for what? Coco's hair is longer. The hairstylist doing a good job because her hair grew. Like, what? And they're still eating the same cube food. They're still mentally tired, mentally exhausted. And this was a good introductory episode. It's not done yet. But we see that Timmy and Emily started to have a relationship. They were sneaking kisses, and they didn't have sex yet. Now I'm saying yet because I'm calling it. They didn't have sex yet because they know the ramifications. Can't worry about being pregnant and all of that. But they were getting close. So when they were at the dinner table, and while everyone was losing their mind, they weren't because they still had each other. Everyone's pretty tired of the situation, though. They're tired of it. They want change. And then, because what happened was originally, they heard the music change. And the music essentially was like, help is coming in the way, or, you know, it'll be better in the morning. I forgot what song it was. And I know that song. That's what pisses me off. I don't remember the song in the moment. What I do know is that they were excited, but then months later, no, a year and a half later, they realized, okay, yes, the morning after. But we don't know what morning after because it's been 18 months. I was like, dang. The last thing that happened was a messenger comes. A messenger comes and Mead goes out. And the messenger is actually played by, and what's the man's name? Cody Fern, who was a part of the Giovanni Versace, series. And he's playing Michael Langdon, spoiler, the Antichrist. And another spoiler, he's supposed to be the baby from the murder house. I'm thinking, okay, so what time frames are we doing with? Because this just isn't making much sense. So he's there because it looks like maybe he's the spokesperson for the collective, and Kathy Bates had to kill his horses. I said, oh, some people are going to be pissed about that, whatever. But those horses were contaminated. And we saw that something dragged the horses into the woods to eat them. And I guess that's the pus monsters or whatever they're called. Last thing is that he said, look, I have two options. All the other posts have been taken out. Yours is the only one that's going to be left. For now, they're going to find it. So I need to go and pick the prime candidates, select the prime candidates and take them. And I could just take everyone, but where would be the fun in all that? And I said, oh no. So it looks like they're going to have to go through a bunch of mess just to try and be saved by this guy who's supposed to be the Antichrist. So you can't even all right, I'm in. It was a great first episode to me. It wasn't too much. The beginning really got you hooked, and then it did slow down in the middle towards the end. But that's all right. It's the first episode. So please tell me what you think. Please like, comment, subscribe. Come back next week.